Hello and welcome, this is Valheim. I'm flying in on a new character into a new world. Valheim is a kind of a big deal right now. It sold 3 million copies in 16 days. It broke 500,000 concurrent players yesterday on Steam. I personally have put an embarrassing amount of time into the game since it came out. Don't do the math, please. But I'm just going to cover it for the early game portion because it's a fun game and I'm looking for an excuse to play it some more. So it's an open world survival, crafting, base building, exploration, action RPG sandbox game. It covers a lot of genres really well. It's Viking themed, which I think does a lot for it. It's really cool. And if you haven't played it yet, you should. This video will not contain spoilers. I'm just going to play through the early game. My biggest priorities right now are finding wood, stone, and food. And of course, this is our friend Hugin, the tutorial bird. He comes in with some hot tips and tricks. We're in a point of interest right now. This is where you come in at first and foremost, and there's a little stone here. He wants you to see this. So this is the map. This symbol here is the spawner for the first boss. You can find this screen again by hitting M, and this will be your map. If you scroll out on the mouse wheel, this big circle, this is your entire playable map. It's huge, and it's basically islands with water between. There is an element of ocean exploration in this game. Currently, my character is wet on the top right. You'll see that. If I hit tab, this is the menu. I can click on the bird icon to look at his messages and also the active effects currently on my character. So right now, being wet, I have a penalty to health regen and also stamina regen. There are other effects like being cold. The survival elements are pretty light. So here we've got an enemy. That is a boar. There's two of them there. Actually, there's a few. I do want to kill boars. Early game, killing boars and deer are a big deal. I'm going to find some more wood and stone so that I can create an axe. Here's some mushrooms here. That's a good source of food early game. We've also got some raspberries. Both of these are great sources of food early game. If I right-click on the food, it shows up on the bottom left, and now my character has health regen. You don't have health regen by default. You have very little HP by default, max HP. It's only increased by consuming food. Also, my max stamina is increased as well, and it tells you how much each food increases those stats on the tooltip if you hover over them. There is a stamina bar here. If I hold shift, I sprint, and stamina is consumed on the bottom of the screen there. There's a meter that's yellow and draining, turning gray. It does regain after you stop doing things that consume stamina. I do have a torch in the top left. You can see that I have a torch. If I hit 1, I'll pull that torch out, and I can use that as a weapon at least. That's something. These grayling enemies are afraid of fire, so they're kind of running away, not attacking me. He's going to die and drop some resin. Resin is good for making more torches. Coincidentally, boars are afraid of fire as well, so at least they'll leave me alone for now while I look for more wood. I can use the torch as a weapon and beat down these baby trees here to get some easy wood early game. Why not do that too? The durability is being consumed pretty rapidly on the torch by using it as a weapon, but I can make more torches with resin and wood. Durability is a thing. Once the durability runs out on most things like weapons and armor, you just can't use it anymore. You have to repair it, but for torches in particular, they just go away. But I can make an axe now, so I'm going to do that. 5 wood and 4 stone. Now, an axe is a really good tool because it can be used to chop down trees effectively. It does a lot of damage to trees, but it can also be used as a weapon, and that levels 2 separate skills. So we've got skills here, kind of Oblivion style. They level as you do things. This triangle symbol here, if you click that, it opens up a skill menu. Now, you've got 2 skills for axes. You've got axes, which is them as a weapon, and wood cutting for chopping down trees. Those are separate skills. We've got these brown trees here. These are beech trees, and we've got these white ones. Those are birch. The birch trees, too hard for this axe right now. Can't chop them down, but we will do that later. For now, these beech trees and the little saplings are going to be the best source of wood. I've got more wood now. I'm going to make a club. A club is a good, dedicated melee weapon. It only needs wood to make, and clubs are a good weapon category as well. They are their own weapon category, and clubs fall into the maces category. Later on, you can make, spoiler alert, I guess, you can make pretty substantial weaponry later on. Oh, and actual spoiler alert, I will be fighting and killing the first boss in this video. I'm not going to talk about late game stuff. I have played through the entire game with both a solo playthrough and a group of friends for what it's worth. It is fun in both experiences. So here I've got a deer on the run in some water. He's a 1-star buck too. I'm going to kill him because he's running away in water. Normally you can't chase them down. They're too fast, but you can either sneak up on them or chase them into shallow water and kill them there where they're really slow. He dropped hide, and meat, which are both really good items. Also, this deer trophy, I'll be using that to summon the first boss. You need 2 to summon the first boss. So killing deer is a priority early game as well as killing boar. We'll be using their animal bits to craft our first weapons and armor. So I've got some deer here in my sights. You can hit left control to sneak, and if you do consume stamina when you walk sneaking, but it is a skill on its own, and I can sneak up on this deer and kill it if it doesn't see me. So I'm going to try to do that now. It hasn't noticed me. Now, if you do sneak attack an enemy, you do a lot of damage. You can play the sneaky character and level sneak and use that to your advantage quite a bit. There are bows in this game and archery. Sneak archer is a legit form of play in this game. These little lizard guys are called necks, and they do drop some meat sometimes, not always, and that's another good source of food. Meat uncooked cannot be consumed. It has to be cooked over a fire before you can use it. There are campfires, big spoilers, but yeah, we'll be setting up a camp at some point in the near future when I have a good amount of wood. More sneak kills on some deer. They are going to be my main concern early game. Deer hide makes leather armor, and these leather scraps that the boar drop are going to make some pretty valuable stuff as well. Chopping these bushes does give wood, but I recommend not doing that because they can grow berries, and we want massive amounts of raspberries. Raspberries are a great source of food in and of themselves early game, but they can be used to craft much better food later. These stumps and random logs found in the ground can be chopped for wood as well. That bird there that just landed and flew away, you can kill them with archery or ranged attacks. They drop feathers. Feathers are used for making arrows. Now I'm chopping the stumps and the saplings and these logs here instead of whole trees. You can chop down trees and they give a lot of wood, but they take a lot of swings and they consume a lot of durability. I think the easy wood here is the better way to go super early game. So this is actually a nice big flat area along some water, and I definitely want to build a boat and a dock later on. So I'm thinking this is where I want to set up camp. Anywhere near water with a big flat open area like this, I think is going to be a great spot to set up camp, and this is the spawning area where I came in here, which is the very center of my map, so a lot of reason to set up camp here. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about these big rocks for now. Later on, though, we'll get some pickaxes. We'll get a pickaxe after killing the first boss to deal with these rocks and mine and do other things. So I could eat another bite. Apparently, the game is telling me if you eat food, you do get the increase in stamina and max HP. It's the only way to increase those stats. The effective amount granted to you does decay over time until the food finally does fall off. A lot of enemies drop trophies. Not many of them are very useful. Here's Flint. Flint is a good resource for crafting things. You'll need it for some of the early crafting station upgrades, and it can be used to make arrows as well. The only thing with Flint is that it's kind of heavy. You do have weight in this game. Flint weighs 2 units of weight each, and your inventory at the very beginning is maxed out at 300, so the durability on my axe did run out. It's not destroyed though. I just have to repair it, which means I'll need a crafting bench, a workbench, a crafting station in order to get that. I'm gonna have to build stuff. So to build stuff, I'm gonna craft a hammer, which is just 3 wood and 2 stone, and I get a bunch of recipes as soon as I make a hammer. So I've got my hammer out now. I can bring out the hammer, and if I right click, I've got a menu, so I can go in here and click on these tabs. Lots of stuff to craft. I want to make a workbench first, so I'm going to select that, and I'm going to spin it with the middle mouse wheel just to be able to place it anywhere at this point. I don't really care where it goes, but I'm going to go to building now. I've got a bunch of new stuff I can make, and I've got a tool that I can make too, a hoe, and well, I need to make this a crafting bench that's suitable. I'm going to have to put some walls and a roof over it to make it usable. So I'm going to bring out the wall piece here. So I'm going to just wall this off and put a couple roof tiles over it to make it suitable as a crafting station. Just a couple of roof tiles over it should be sufficient. Sometimes it's not, and you got to kind of finagle that and replace the crafting bench. Let's see if it lets me use it. Get out of here, Hugin. It does, so I can repair everything. Now my axe is usable again. That's fortunate. It costs nothing to repair stuff, and now I can make more tools, including a hoe. So what that hoe is going to allow me to do is to level out the land a little bit to make building easier. The first option is to level land. If you have stone, you can raise ground, and then you can also make paths out of with the hoe too. It doesn't really level the land as much. It just kind of makes a dirt path. But I'm going to level a nice spot near this workbench. So with leveling, it'll bring the land to wherever this line goes. You see that there are circles and then a line in the middle. The line's coming up to the circle. So if I click here, it'll raise the land a little bit. And now if it's flat or the circles are under land, it'll flatten the land a little bit or bring it down. So now it's a little flatter. That's kind of how the hoe works. I'm just going to flatten out a nice big spot right here. It doesn't matter where I build the very first building. I'm envisioning a little town here with a bunch of different buildings, a crafting building, somewhere to sleep, somewhere to house things like a warehouse, that sort of thing. But this will be my first little house here that'll be multi-purpose. Now that I've got my crafting station set up, I'm just going to temporarily drop a chest here to store some stuff. The chests don't offer much in terms of storage individually, but they are the only option currently, so I'm just going to store some stuff that I don't really want to carry on me for the sake of weight. The flint and the wood, I'm going to leave that here so I can go get much more wood now that I've got a fully repaired axe and plenty of trees over here. So I'm going to spend the rest of day one just kind of gathering wood and some stone and food. There are pre-made buildings in the game. This is a little tent here, a little lean-to with what was a campfire here. There are full-blown buildings around that. Some of them have beehives. You can become a beekeeper. There's a lot of weird little stuff like that. As I run across it, I'll note that. And there are dandelions here. These are used for crafting things later on. It's worth picking some. You don't need a ton of these, so don't go nuts picking dandelions, but it's worth having some around for a little bit later in the game. So it's now officially nighttime. I got a message saying I feel cold. The bird wants to tell me all about it, I'm sure. Basically, being cold is another debuff here to our character. 50%, minus 50% health regen, minus 25% stamina regen. So you are a bit disadvantaged being out and about at night if you're cold. There are ways to combat being cold later on, but for now it is an issue that, you can sleep through the night and not have to deal with being cold. Also, more enemies are out at night, so it's a little more dangerous to be out at night, too. I've got plenty of wood, though. I'm going to head back and craft what I think is one of the best first houses. All right, let's get to building. I believe I have enough wood to make this happen straight up, so I'm going to try to keep my torch out as much as I can, but I don't think I can keep the torch out and build at the same time. So what I'm going to do, just so I can see, and just so the video is a little better in terms of visibility, too, is drop a couple of these torches. That should put some light on my situation here. All right, let's start out with the floor here. The colors of pieces when you build them is significant. The blue pieces are foundation, then they fade from a dark green to sort of an orange and red. And once something is red, you can't build off of it anymore. Once it's a dark red, the stability is such that you just can't build there anymore. So something to keep in mind. I'm going to go with a 4x3 for the basic floor plan. And I'm leaving an open patch here because I want to be able to build a campfire and have it inside. You don't have to do that, but I think it's cooler if you do. So I'm going to have a campfire in the house and it'll be right here. And I'm just bringing the land up a little bit. You can hit shift to change where you want the hoe to go, up or down. All right, some walls here. I'll have a door right there. And I'll probably have a door, I don't know, there as well. Why not? Gonna go ahead and put down my campfire, which is 5 wood and 2 stone. Put that right there. Now the campfire does produce smoke, which is a concern because smoke can hurt you if it doesn't have a place to ventilate. So we'll need to make sure this area is ventilated. I do have a plan for that. I'm gonna put posts in the corners here and put little half walls down to make sure I can see things outside of the house while I'm in it. I kind of like the idea of a sort of open house here. And I've got some yellow walls here, which means that's not going to be very stable. One thing I can do to add stability is put little posts down to connect the house to the ground, which I'll add one right here. How's that? And that should add some stability to these walls, and now that is blue. And I can do the same thing over here since we're kind of off the ground there. I actually got a snap point there. That's good. So that won't look as derpy, but now there's a little more stability, which is better. There are half walls as well, and they make for some good windows. You can make doors. Of course, I did mention I want a door. There's one right there, and I'll have a second door over here. So there are roof tiles, and it is important to have a roof over your head. That's what counts as being sheltered. I'm going to start with the corner roof tiles on the corners, and I'll fill in the gaps. Straight tiles here for the gaps. I will have a gap in the middle, and I'm purposely leaving this space open here where I've got the fire, because I'm going to put a little chimney there, but we can have these little 45 degree or these little 26 degree angle centerpieces here. Oh, I got it. There we go. Perfect. So I am going to build a little chimney here, though, for the roof. I want that tile to be roofed, but I don't want the smoke to kill me and not be ventilated. So I'm going to build a little ladder. My favorite way to do this that I've seen other people do, and I like the idea of, is you put a couple of walls here, and then you put a roof tile over that. That way the smoke has somewhere to escape and not smoke out the house. So this is what happens if you are smoked. You do take damage. It's not good for you. It will kill you eventually. But I've got my walls there, and I'll put a little roof tile here, the 45 degree angle roof. Why not? So now I've got a little chimney. The smoke has somewhere to go and won't smoke out my house. And basically my house is complete now. Of course, it's daytime already, and I don't need to sleep through the night anymore. It looks like the sun's coming up, but what I can do is head back in and build a bed. The bed acts as a spawn point, so you can set your spawn to be in your house as long as there's a roof tile over it. It is a viable spawn point, so I'm going to hit E and claim it, and I can talk to Hugh, and he's going to tell me all about beds. Great, thanks a lot. So one thing I can do now also is make a cooking station over that fire to cook some of this meat. Now you can fit a bunch of these over the fire. Let's see if I've got enough wood for more than one. Yeah, I can put 3 there. You can fit 5. They're just harder to use. I'm going to go ahead and cook some of this meat here to get cooked meat, which is a pretty substantial food buff, at least compared to the berries and mushrooms. Food can burn if you leave it on the fire too long. It'll sizzle when it's done and change color. That's when you know it's cool to take it off. You do need coal for things later, but I don't recommend burning food to make coal. There we go. It's done now. There are much better ways to make coal than burning food. So by all means, don't burn your food for coal. Just as a comparison, the raspberries are 10 health and 20 stamina, and the cooked meat is 40 health and 30 stamina, so it's a lot more. We've got some new effects in the top right there. We've got shelter, we've got resting with a comfort level of 4, and a rested buff. So those all mean something, and let's just see what they are. So shelter, you are sheltered from the weather. Resting, you are currently resting. Health and stamina regen is significantly increased, 200% health, 300% stamina, so that's important to know. Rested is a buff that you get and can take with you, though, away from where you're resting, and that is a 50% health regen and 100% stamina regen. You want to be rested as much as possible. So I don't like that I can't just walk into my house here. I've got a gap. What I'm going to do for that gap is build some stairs. The staircase is its own sort of thing, and you should be able to snap to the edge there, even if they're underground a little bit. Boom, now I've got stairs. So I've relocated my workbench to the inside of the house, and I've got some chests over here next to my fireplace to be able to store my stuff. This is home base. I can make 2 more things to improve my workbench, a chopping block and a tanning rack, but I still need a bunch of stuff to make that happen. The first thing I need to go get is some flint, and I need some flint for this as well. So flint, leather scraps, and deer hide, along with some wood, are my top priorities for the next few days. Whoa, I got a skeleton here, and I'm dead, so that means something is over there. Could be a dungeon. I don't want to mess with skeletons right now. They are really tough enemies. That might be a black forest biome. Currently, we're in the meadows, which is the most docile biome by a long shot. Black forest has some tougher enemies, and as you saw, skeleton did quite the number there on me. The death mechanic is basically that you lose skill points and you drop all your stuff, but it's easy enough to get your stuff back. I've got no skill drain in the top right there. We can see what exactly that does. If you die, you won't lose any skill points, so that's fortunate if I die again. And when I recover my corpse, I'll get another buff called Corpse Run, which greatly reduces the stamina consumption for sprinting and jumping. So this skeleton here, he's going to try to attack me again. I did do some damage, so I've got all my stuff back, and I'm out of here. Corpse Run is exactly for that. 50 seconds of get the F out. So I'm going to pick up some wood along the way, but I'm going to get away from him to be able to re-equip my rag tunic. And I can go back and kill him, but it's a little sketchy to do that. He's got a sword. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to give it a shot. Here he is. So you can dodge. Block and jump together are a dodge. I can dodge. Maybe I can parry him too. Nope. I just did damage. You can parry if you time a block really well. He dropped bone fragments. They become an important crafting material later on. That said, I don't really want to mess with skeletons right now. I'm going to eat that food so I got some health. You can see my health substantially increases with cooked meat. It's a good buff. We've got some mushrooms here. They do often spawn in groups at the base of trees. Got a little river here. I know there probably are some necks around. They usually do congregate around rivers. I'm thinking my best food buffs early game are going to be mushrooms, cooked neck, and cooked meat. My goal for the first boss fight is to have a wooden tower shield, as well as a full set of leather armor and this club. This fog I'm seeing here, that's a weather effect. It sometimes is clear, sometimes it rains, and then you get this fog occasionally also. Yeah, there's a variety of weather in this game. So those different sound effects are actually crits. You can crit in this game. Your critical attacks, of course, do more damage. Something worth noting about your camp is that your spawn point, if you use your bed to set your spawn point, will show up on the map, but if you set your spawn point elsewhere, your camp will no longer be mapped, so I always mark my camp on the map just to make sure. Something interesting about a campfire is that if you're wet but you're near a fire, that debuff, wet, on the top right goes away a lot more quickly. And not that you should do this per se, but if you walk into the fire and set yourself on fire temporarily, you'll burn for a few seconds, but that debuff goes away really fast. Just to give myself a ranged weapon for now, I'm going to make a flint spear. It's not great after you get a bow, but for super early on, before you can make yourself a bow, it is a really handy, and you can use it as a melee weapon. It's kind of a hybrid weapon, I guess, but it's nice for just being able to sneak attack some deer early on without having to burn through arrows and use a bow. So it does work as a melee weapon, but if you middle mouse click with the spear out, you should be able to throw it and do a ranged attack. That's me whiffing and missing a deer, but you can run right over and pick it back up. So it is useful. It doesn't consume anything to throw the spear. You can just pick it right back up, and it's a lot easier to kill deer with a spear like that, in my opinion. Now that I've got some flint and wood, I'm going to make a chopping block. You have to put these items that buff your workbench near the workbench itself, otherwise they won't apply. But now my workbench is level 2, which allows me to craft some more stuff. Most notably, I can craft leather armor, which is going to be perfect for the first boss. I need 18 deer hide total to craft a full set. So I've crafted myself a leather helmet with the first bit of deer hide that I've got. I've only got 4 left here. If you right click on your armor, you'll equip it. So now I've got myself a fancy new helmet, and I'm going to continue hunting deer and boar to make myself some more stuff. I've just found my first treasure ring. So there's a ring of rocks here, and what that indicates is that somewhere beneath me is some buried treasure. Once you get a pickaxe, you can dig around for it, but there's another item later on you get that makes it a lot easier to find that. Point being, this is not a bad thing to mark on your map for later if you want to go treasure hunting. Alright, it's officially night for night 2 here. Ooh, some raspberries. I'm going to head back and sleep for the night and continue my hunt tomorrow. You can sleep through the night if you're playing multiplayer, but everyone has to be in bed and sleeping for it to trigger. So I've got enough to make a crude bow here, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, along with some arrows. Now, having a bow and arrows is going to make hunting deer so much easier. One-shot stealth is going to be able to kill these deer, and I'm thinking I'm going to have some success today with farming up the rest of the leather that I need to make my armor, and I can probably fight the boss tomorrow at this rate. Alright, I've got a deer here. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my bow. And you do have to account for some drop with the shots for arrows, and they seem to shoot a little bit left of your cursor, so aiming a little bit above and to the right of the enemy should land a hit. That's a lot of damage there. That's because I was stealthed, but there is the easy way to hunt deer early game. Something to note is that I haven't chopped down a single tree yet. Early game, I really do think these saplings are the way to go. You can find tons of them, and they just take a lot more, or a lot less, stamina per piece of wood. You'd only have to swing your axe a few times to chop these down, and they do provide substantial wood for the effort. All right, leather pants and leather tunic acquired here. I can also make a tower shield. This is basically all I feel I need for the first boss right here. There is another shield, a wooden shield here. It's better for parrying, but since we can't parry bosses, I feel the more block the better, and it's not going to matter that I can't parry. So from here, I'm just going to cook off some meat, make sure I'm ready with food buffs, and get going with the first boss tomorrow. It is possible to upgrade your equipment, but you need bone fragments to do that. I don't think it's worth farming bone fragments for upgrades just for the first boss. Something else worth considering is that fires burn fuel. This campfire needs wood to burn. You can add wood to it with a max capacity of 10 wood. Here's a nice little trick for maximizing the space for storage and chests. If you want, you can place a tile over chests, so you could do a half tile if you wanted them long ways, but since I'm going sideways here, I'm going to do a piece of 2x2 over that floor and then over those chests, and then I'm going to make a couple more. And you can stack up chests pretty efficiently this way. All right, day 3 is here, and I've got my trophies and my food. I've got my rested buff. This is day 4. Sorry, day 4. And I'm going to go fight the boss now because why the heck not? Before I actually get there, I'm going to eat my food to give myself a chance to regen that HP. Your max HP goes up, but you don't get the HP right away. So on the way there, hopefully, I will have regained all of my HP. My HP is almost full. I'm just going to summon him. Hope it's not a huge mistake. I had the trophies in my inventory and hit the button for the inventory slot when I had that altar highlighted. He's going to spawn in over here, so I'm going to rush over, get some early shots in on him once he comes in. Just start swinging away. Having a shield is a big deal here. I'm going to be able to block everything he does and just beat him down with the club. He kind of runs away a little bit. He headbutts you. He does that big OE attack. The headbutt's the hardest one to guess when it's coming. And then he shoots lightning at you too as a ranged attack. So you're not safe from range necessarily either. Now, a lot of people fight him with a bow and say you should fight him with a bow. I don't know why. It's the first time I fought him, it was with a bow, and it took forever to kill him because the bow just didn't do that much damage. It was a crude bow. Why not just block and swing and use a club and melee him down? I don't see why not. So, and even his damage when he does hit you, it's not that big of a deal if you've got a full leather set. And over 100 HP I've got just from basic food. Yeah, I think this is the way to go. So one thing I'll say is with this boss, it's about stamina management, being able to hit him and block, because you want to not have your stamina empty when those things happen. When I chase him, I kind of just walk toward him because he's going to come back to me anyway. Coming up on the end here too. That didn't take long. I still have 6 minutes of my rested buff left, so it's a quick fight. Man, I'm telling you, when I fought him the first time with a bow, it was a way longer fight, and I'm running around all crazy. It was just not efficient. Now I can craft a pickaxe, so I'm going to go hang his head on the altar and show you the buff that you get for killing him, and then I'll craft a pickaxe and just show a little bit of that, but that's going to do it mostly for this one. I just wanted to get to the first boss. All right, going to go ahead, put his trophy up there. This will glow a little bit, and now it says jump stamina usage minus 60%, run stamina usage minus 60%. That's if I take this power, which I will hit E to activate the power. Now I have a power up, and you can hit the F key to use that power, and what it does is it's a 5-minute uptime with a 20-minute downtime, and I can sprint for way less stamina than it would normally cost me. It's really nice for traveling far distances or getting back to your camp quickly. I did also get 3 hard antler from that boss fight, so I can go over to my workbench and craft an antler pickaxe for just 1 hard antler, and I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to make a few because the durability on these is not great, and if you go on long mining expeditions, you'll be glad you have more than 1, but now I've got a pickaxe. So the next step would be to venture out further into the map, find a black forest, and start looking for copper mains. Also look along the coast for tin veins, and mine tin and copper to make some bronze, which is sort of the next tier of equipment, and you can make some bronze armor and start finally looking like a real Viking. Also venture into the Black Forest for some dungeons, kill some trolls, all kinds of good stuff. I'm happy to continue this as a series. I love this game. It's so fun, and I'm just looking for more reason to play it again. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Let me know what you think of the series. I know my channel is kind of geared toward Dungeon Defenders, but I've been enamored with this game and telling everyone they should try it. So that'll do it for this one. Please leave your thoughts, as always, and relevant links for Twitch and Discord in the description. Again, thank you so much for watching.